So what examination we can do very commonly following an injury? Okay. So if you see this, these are some of and the book says, and then there are so many articles they say, but I, based on some of the guidelines and with my experience, I just try to list it out these points. So I won't go for many of the testing. I just do only some two tests, and I see some of the common findings I can see. So what is that thing? First, the patient will tell a history, or an athlete will tell an history, the mechanism of injury with the non-contact valgus load at or near the full extension. Because when it goes in the high flexion range or more than 30 degrees or 40 degrees of flexion, I won't think of much of the ACL thing, and I will explain why. And there could be a sound of, they might have heard a feeling of pop at the injury. There might be some sound or some pop sound would have been heard at the time of injury. Okay, hemarthrosis will develop within 0 to 12 hours following the injury. Okay, why the swelling is happen 0 to 12 hours following the injuries? This thing, it shows when it happens in a very early stage, it shows there is some problem happened at the bone or ligament. So that is one of the sensitive thing we can pick out when the hemarthrosis or the effusion is happened within the 0 to 12 hours of following an injury. Okay, and if there is a sympathetic effusion which is happened after 24 to 36 hours, then I can think of there is something, the hemarthrosis is slowly forming because of sympathetic effusion. Then we can think of the structure as something called meniscus. And this meniscal injury with ACL will be associated with some mechanical block that is due to the loose body formation. Loose bodies, which is during the flexion to extension, the loose body will get stuck and there may be some block which can happen. That is with the thing. Isolated ACL will won't have a feature of the delayed swelling and then the loose body with the mechanical block presentation. And again, how we can identify with this thing is we can do a stroke test following that, and then we can grade from 0 to 3. Okay, 0 trace, 1 to 3 based on the amount of swelling. We do a stroke test from upward from the medial side of medial joint line towards the suprapatellar pouch. Then we do a lateral thing, downward stroke on the distal part, and then we can see a fluid wave from the medial side. Okay, so when this thing is present, the hemarthrosis is present, and that can not happen only with the ACL. Anything can also be associated. The knee swelling or hemarthrosis is not only specific, but with an ACL, it will be a common finding. Then we have a history of giving way, and this giving way is maybe associated with the torn ACL, and they will feel like during some of the activities at the terminal extension. Okay, the giving a feeling, they will be having a tissue block with the terminal extension. They won't have much with the lower angles. So this is one of the thing. And what test I prefer is the Lakshman test. Usually we do with this thing at the 30 degrees of flexion with some amount of tibia external rotation. Okay, so here we can see there will be an excessive translation compared to the contralateral leg more than 3 millimeter. Okay, so then we can take this one as a thing, and this Lakshman test is a highly sensitive test and a highly specific test. So this should be positive when we talk in terms of the ACL injury. Maybe because of high sensitivity and high specificity. So what is the general rule? I hope everyone knows this, but anyhow, I'll tell because this is an important point. Whatever test, special test you are doing, when the test is having high specificity and it become positive, you have to rule in the condition. So what we can do is SPPIN, that we have to remember. When the specificity is more and the test is positive, we can take in SPPIN. And when the test is highly sensitive and becomes negative, you can rule out the condition. So SNN out. So this terms you have to review. So why? Because there are so many tests are there. Okay, we can do all the tests for the patient for any of the joint. Okay, because I know this test or this test is new, I can take like that. We have to see the high sensitive and the high specific test which is having high sensitivity and high specificity, then you can think of the likelihood ratio and all. I don't want to discuss that. The Lakshman test is a highly sensitive and a highly specific test. We do this thing, and sometimes it may be associated with some soft end fill. It's not that, don't confuse with the soft tissue edema of the hard end fill. Okay. So this is one of the finding, and next one is the positive pivot shift test. So this pivot shift test is a very, very important thing, because this test, okay, it's not that sensitive to pick up the ACL, but it is a highly specific test to take the thing. Okay, so what we do is we take into the thing, see the subluxation phenomena at 20 to 40 degrees of flexion, and we have to remember during this test, or sometimes with the Lakshman test also, there will be some false negative results that will happen due to the muscle contraction. So what they do as a protective thing, they feel like some injury, you are going to do an anterior translation test or this thing. So what will happen when we try to pull it, the muscle try to contract all over the knee joint, and it won't try to give the excessive translation. So there may be some chance of false negative thing during the acute phases, but in very chronic cases this won't be there, and it is more reliable thing. Okay, so how do we do this? Supine, it will be in flexion and abduction of about 30 degrees. One hand we hold the calcaneum, and then we try to give some internal rotation force. Some people may tell during the pivot shift we can do a component of axial compression also, and other hand we give the outside the fibula, we won't compress the fibula, we keep the hand outside the fibula, and we try to give some valgus force, and then we take from the extension to flexion. Okay, positive when that, because with this force we are giving some subluxation. What will happen is there will be some this valgus movement when we coupled with the internal rotation due to compressive load, that will give the downslope or downhill movement, that will take the tibia in the downward position when relation to femur. And when we try to reduce it, when we try to go from extension to flexion, this will become reduction will be there, and the test will sometimes associated with some sound at the 30 to 40 degrees, and this can hypothesis again due to the ITB contraction. The reduction will happen due to the contraction of this thing, and that may reduce. So this positive pivot shift test is an important finding. And this is one of the thing. They took anterior drawer also. They say this is the common test, no need to do, because the results will be of inconclusive thing, and maybe due to the protective nature also. So you can remember, when there is a ACL, you can confirm either with the Lakshman test only, because it's highly sensitive and specific, or you can go for the pivot shift. Why I am interested to go for the pivot shift is, when the ACL injury is alone, okay, the rotation component, only when there is a thing, the internal rotation affected or the thing, it will be very less. When there is an involvement of the structures, the other anterolateral structures like anterolateral ligament, the rotational component will be more. And when it involved with the ITB, the excessive rotational component will be there. So the rotation thing, the pivot shift up is not giving a much significance. It's not coming more. Then I can think of isolated ACL. The test gives more thing. Then I can suspect some of the injuries associated with the ALL and the ITB thing.